for the Tuesday edition of the Kokoliriko live show. My name is FARISH MAJID and I hope you had a wonderful night. And we're already here to give you what really happened, maybe in your know or maybe in the know for you. That is why we are already here to also let you know maybe some of the stories that could have happened over the day of yesterday and this morning. And that is why the morning updates of Kokoliriko live show always comes each and every Mondays to Fridays, right from the hour of 7 a.m. to 9 o'clock here on Western Television. It is here to also remind you of some of the stories that could have really happened, maybe in your know or maybe in your absence. And that is why we already here to also let you know we're already here, and that is why you need to be part of the show each and every mornings, right from the hour of 7 a.m. up to 9 a.m. My name is FARISH Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board, and you are most welcome from wherever you chose to watch us. And really, we welcome you on board in a special way, and we say you are really very, very much welcome. And this is the show, definitely, that will also have an impact on you as a human being, and definitely you must be informed at all times, because if at all you're not informed, then definitely you may also lag behind, which may not be right. And that is why it is always good to start off your day from an informed point of view, because once you're not informed, trust me, you are not going to really do a lot of things, and that may also really be very, very difficult for you, since the decision you're going to make is also really going to be that one that is uninformed. But for you to make informed decisions, definitely you must be informed. And where will you get the access to that information? It is definitely here on Western Television Kokoliriko live show with me, FARISH Majid. And usually what we do also at times is we bring guests, and this week we look forward to having guests from Uganda Human Rights Commission, and they will be telling us the issues about the mob action that we're seeing today. And if I can be able to just briefly remind you, yesterday we did see some of the operations going on. To the extent we did see 3 motorcycles being banned, and these are the motorcycles that belong to these boys who were actually using them for doing the broad day robbery. And these boys were actually banned, these motorcycles were banned at our primary ends around the video hall there. This is actually where the boys were thoroughly beaten from. And I must remind you that is also against their human rights, because human rights do not permit people to do that. It is actually police that is supposed to do punishment, and it is also really supposed to be at the courts of law. But where people are taking the laws into their hands by beating these people, then that becomes mob action. It is rather mob justice, because usually people are confusing mob action to mob justice. But I must remind you the right word is actually mob action, because there is no justice by the community. The justice is supposed to be done by courts of law, and really that is why I want to remind people this from tendencies of beating these thieves. Once you arrest them, let's please hand them over to the police. And we also expect police now to also really do its activities rightly, because sometimes the community express worries and doubts in how police is operating. Usually how they also think is that the police must be conniving with some of these thieves, and that is why we are seeing also these boys, once they are arrested, they always come back out also to come and terrorize this community. And that is why community has resorted to killing them, because they no longer trust that is the justice system, maybe right from the police stations, where they think corruption has very, very much infiltrated that area there. But I want to call upon the police also to ensure that this is not a reality, because we are going to be putting the lives of these boys at risk. Because really what happened yesterday, if you really saw it, trust me, you would also really wish to shed tears. You would also really you would want to first of all sympathize with them. First of all, how they have been terrorizing, you would want first put that aside, how much as they have been grabbing people's property, they have been grabbing phones. But if you really saw how these people have been pulled down, trust me, you would also really sympathize with them. And I think that should go as a warning to the rest, maybe who would wish to be thieves, because these are young boys who are inspired into this business by maybe other people who are unscrupulous within these communities. And that should sound as a warning to those who may also really want to engage in the same activity. And really that is what transpired yesterday. And now to begin off the discussions right from Maracha, where Uganda Revenue Authority also really recently had a meeting with the authorities from also really, and the stakeholders from in there. And these are the people of that area, and the residents of Maracha district have also really squeezed that Uganda Revenue Authority, that's for West Nile Regional Office, for mistreating and also really harassing people during their operations and impounding smuggled goods and numberless motorcycles in the district and the region at large. And this is what really happened in there, and people are really blaming URA for really using excessive force in terms of also really carrying out the operations. But really, why must URA be using also really excessive force on us? That is the question the citizens must ask themselves. That means that really we are not following what they're saying, because much as we may also really be blame URA, we have the mandate. The mandate to pay taxes really lies upon us, and that is why we must always ensure that we pay our taxes. We must avoid the rift that could come between us and the tax body, which is really a great concern. And this is where always people have been having challenges, and each and every year you hear a case of this and that.
really, when shall we be putting these things aside? And that is one thing also really, people may also wish for the graduate tax to be introduced back, because recently I was in Arivu sub-county. This issue actually came out. There is the need about the need for the reintroduction of the graduate tax, because this is one challenge. It is said is really maybe costing and making young people to really come and sit on the streets, because they lack what to do, and that is why they resort also really to sitting at the trading centers, and then also really engaging busily at maybe at the markets, and also really maybe in their gardens to do active production. But really, that is also one challenge that has been attributed to also really the issue about the young people wanting to stay very, very much idle in their trading centers. But really, what can we do? That is the question also really we should be asking ourselves at this hour of the morning. And really, what are we doing to see that this issue about young people are sitting at the trading centers is avoided? And really, that is the question also really we need to really ask ourselves, because before we start blaming them, have we done enough? Has the government done enough? That is the question that everybody must be asking him or herself out there. But really, I think there is nothing much that has been done, and that is why we are seeing the rift that is always coming on board between URA officers and the communities. And really, I believe URA also need to do enough when it comes to making people understand that they have to pay the taxes, and the entire obligation of paying taxes also lies entirely into the hands of the citizens. And that is one thing also all the stakeholders need to also really join hands in terms of making the community understand this, because we are talking about URA, but it's not URA alone. We have the leaders who are in place who have to make the people understand. If you really these are the politicians, the technocrats, who all have to work together in terms of making the public understand that their obligations of paying taxes entirely lies into their hands. And that is why we need to also call upon now all the leaders, ranging from the political and the technocrats, also need to understand that these people who are within the societies, who are always at rift with Uganda Revenue Authority, also really understand that they have to pay the taxes, and smuggling is never a solution. Also, maybe it is a factor that is also really said to be a cancer that is very dangerous in terms of eating the economy. And really, I want to also call upon people now to understand also really that they need to understand that they have to pay taxes. And with the police department, RDC's officers, LC5 chairpersons, and URA officials who were in attendance, the furious locals also really comprised of border riders, women market vendors, and other categories of traders raised their concerns during a baraza organized by the Maracha constituency member of parliament, that is Honorable Oguzuli, in there. And this meeting also attracted a number of these people who also to come and echo their voices. I don't know why today people want to hear about a meeting that is organized by URA once they hear about a meeting with URA. Numbers also really come. That is one thing I must also really say is happening, because people have a lot of issues that they really want to speak out. But really, how can we ensure that this bad relationship that is between the tax body and the taxpayers is also really addressed? That is the question also really people need to also really ask themselves, because we are talking about this sour relationship that is between the taxpayers and the tax body. How can we bridge that gap and make sure that people understand their roles? Yes, and that is the question also really people should be asking themselves out there, because we are talking about this, but people are not also really minding about other factors that need to be also really checked in there, because we are talking about this factor about people also really not paying taxes. And then the body also really has to raise taxes, because the economy also really is entirely dependent on money that we are going to be getting from taxes. The budget, which is just some few months, we are coming very soon to the end of the next financial year. And then what does that mean? It means that we really have to ensure that we pay our taxes before the end of the financial year. And that is why we may be seeing a rift happening between URA and the maybe the taxpayers all over the country. If you really see what is happening in Kampala, the traders in there are also really now striking over the IFRI system, which is also really said to be very, very much costly in there. And most of the traders are saying it is first of all costly for them to pay the taxes using the IFRI system. Then secondly, it is very, very much difficult, and that is why we also really asking ourselves why Uganda Revenue Authority has failed also to make the people in there understand to work with the systems, and why is that the taxes are said to be very much high. These are the questions the tax body also really needs to ask themselves, so that in the next financial year we do not have such challenges. Because if you really look at what is happening with the issue about the development maybe of the IFRI system, it's a good one. Really, I do not want to maybe say, first of all, it is less costly, where we're going to be seeing this also maybe paying their taxes within the comforts of their businesses, and that is one reason so people needed to embrace that. But where we're seeing a rift also really happening, then it becomes quite unfortunate. That means that the tax body has not done enough. But really, I want to remind people that the issue of paying taxes is actually the mandate of the citizens. It is a duty of me and you to pay the taxes. because really the economy also really has to depend on us. If we don't pay taxes, where shall we get also really maybe the services that we want? For instance, the road that we're also talking about today, if you look at the road that is connecting, that is from Arua to Kampala, this road needs to be developed, and that's why the government also needs to ensure that this is where people see the benefit of paying their taxes very vividly there, and that is why people also need to also see the services, and that is why government needs to come out clearly and also really maybe develop such roads so that these people also really understand why they need to pay the taxes. If you really look at the health services, let the medical facilities have the medicines, let them have the medical personnel, because these are paid using the taxpayers' money. Really, trust me, people would also really wish to pay the taxes, because if they see this insecurity, people also really need to see that their security is guaranteed, their business is also really well catered and also really well protected. That would also really help people also want to pay their taxes without also really maybe a lot of refusal here and there. That would also really be very, very much bad in there. And I really want to call upon now people to also ensure that the issue about paying their taxes is their mandate and the obligations. It is a duty of me and you to pay for these taxes, and rather than also really us being forced to pay our taxes in there. That would also really be very, very unfortunate. And while appealing to the government to reduce the taxes, that is hiked on fuel, which can minimize smuggling. A resident, that's Mr. Aluma Julius, described URA as harassment against the people of West Nile as a region, as a government's deliberate segregation against the people in this region, and that is what happened in that community. But rather there, meanwhile, of the town council chairman, that is Honorable Gothi Philiam Dabayo, advised the locals to also restrain from doing smuggling business, which can cause financial losses if they are intercepted by URA law enforcement officers. And that is one thing also people need to do. They need to do some tendencies of smuggling, which is really a dangerous vice, first of all, due to its nature, and that is why people also need to desist from that tendencies. And maybe let's first connect to hear what happened in Maracha. That would also really be quite good for us to understand what really happened, and maybe what the leaders said in that meeting as we come back shortly from the commercial maybe broke.
Residents of Maracha district have squeezed the URA officials from Western Regional Office for mistreating and harassing people during their operations in impounding smuggled goods and numberless motorcycles in the district and the region at large. With the police department, RDC's office, LC5 chairperson's office, and the URA officials who were in attendance, the furious locals comprised of border riders, women market vendors, and other categories of traders raised their concerns during a baraza organized by Maracha constituents MP Honorable Oguzuli Dennis. While appealing to the government to reduce the tax hiked on fuel, which can minimize smuggling, a resident, Mr. Aluma Julius, described URA's harassment against the people of Western region as NRM government's deliberate segregation against people in this region.
Government ito eyoka otumajisisu kwa bios. Asisine government para business ara kita swambor dife. Otu para kade check frustration elmo dabo ajendia di dua skubi bi musoro fe e kata di otu para ka to drama jisite harinta modu kongwa expo fichian
Of Jo Town Council LC3 chairman Honorable Gothi Philiam Dabayo advised the local people to restrain from doing smuggling businesses, which can cause for them financial losses if they are intercepted by URA law enforcement officers.
Let's reform in our businesses which we are doing to avoid losses, to see that we move on well. I see a lot of people, a number of people who are losing from URA. You get a number of jerrycans of fuel from Congo is taken, and the person misses the whole money, and then you also lose the motorcycle.
Mr. Aduma Yero Justus from Maracha Town Council, aspiring for Member of Parliament, Maracha East constituency position in 2026 general election, said he will routinely organize such kind of barazas between locals and government entities to sensitize them to make sure they understand the laws and policies of government in order to avoid confrontations between the entities and the citizens.
Can reliably inform you that these are the right things we really need to do with our people. There is a lot. That's why sometimes members of parliament are there. Yes, they create these rules. And if we do not come to also sensitize our members about these policies and the laws that we we make in the parliament, then we leave them with a lot of ignorance, and that is why such kind of issues are done.
The regional head of operations for URA, Mr. Ajiga Mansour, condemned the level of cruelty exhibited by the residents who always violently pelt URA law enforcement officers with stones. He also advised the members of the public not to board borders that do not have number plates.
Kelela maliri yore miluni du micho ni la dinar ku ata bani bira micho ni adiar ku na kili yore ki der si jori bazate yore chota bazi bidele ku milodo yore obekin baba yore obe yo azban ni kun miso kwa zilinjo iturus mburu alusia bobe amara royada mamut karamande para la lo mani style ban bobe zur kardale.
Honorable Oguzuli Dennis, the Marsa constituency MP who organized the Baraza, attributed numerous series of bloody confrontations between URA and the community members during operation to ignorance as a result of lack of sensitization awareness by the concerned stakeholders.
Bani yo ma o luko kiliri sukuls eyo chocha bani brazo bani yo ye ania kosiris eyo chocha bani cho ye pile singirisis.
Oraku Benson Pastore.
All right, welcome back from that story there. And I know these are issues that are always raised elsewhere, not only in Maracha, it could be also raised in the same meeting if you're at all organized it in Madiokolo. The same views would also already be raised if at all this same meeting was organized in Terego. And I want to also assure you that the same complaints and same queries will be raised if this meeting at all was also really taken to our district and elsewhere in Western Sub-Region, because the rift between the taxpayers and the tax body has always been there. But now the question I want to pose to you, the viewer, this early morning is that how can we ensure that the rift between the taxpayers and the tax body is addressed in this country? You can drop your comments in there. And when we come back from the short commercial break, we shall be going through some of your comments. And really that is why it is very, very much important. For those of you streaming us online, feel free to drop your comments in there. For those of you watching us, for instance, via Facebook, use the Facebook comment section. Drop your comment in there on what maybe it could be a question, also really maybe a concern. Drop it in there on how the relationship between URA and the taxpayers can be addressed. And for those of you streaming us via YouTube, you too also should drop your comments in there as we bounce back shortly from the commercial break. My name is FARISH Majid. Stay tuned to Kokoliriko live show.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13th, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Right, welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back into our second half of the first hour. This is still a Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV. In case you are just joining us right now, you're most welcome aboard. And earlier on, we are discussing issues related to the community baraza that was organized by Uganda Revenue Authority together with the communities of Maracha. And this is also to streamline operations and maybe address the rift that is between the taxpayers and the tax body. And I believe this is something that has been happening elsewhere also really. Now, the question that we are asking, maybe before we did go for that break, the question that earlier on did ask is, how can the rift between the taxpayers and the tax body be addressed, and maybe how also is maybe the tax burden fair enough to the country, and that is why people also really should be sharing the opinions. Is it that maybe the taxes are very, very much unjustly paid? Because somebody in there was also really able to say that in Maracha, you were able to also really listen to that clearly, where they say that issue is deliberate, really also really it is maybe affecting them. And really, what do you think about that issue? Definitely you should also really use the comment section and drop in your comments there, and I will be pleased to also really go through some of them in the next hour of the show. But for now, let's continue with the discussions, and really you too also can be part of the show. And this is the Kokoliriko live show that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays, right from the hour of, that is 7 a.m., that is to until the hour of 9 o'clock. And after that, we have the news bulletin in Lubarati that will also really take us through other programs of the day. And remember, we have so many programs that really come through the day, where we shall be also really having, that is sports, that will be coming through, that is 2 to 3 p.m. And later on, we shall also be having the street talk. That is actually before sports, and that is also really something I must remind you of. And then the Lembagaya news bulletin will be coming through, that is at midday, and that is why it is also good for people who want to be informed. These more so the Aluru speakers, it is also good for you actually to be part of that news bulletin. And then the news bulletin in English of the Nilecast will be coming through with the Kokoliriko Christian right from the hour of 7 p.m. And all these bulletins are there to keep you informed, because our team of journalists is always on ground to really also let you know of what is happening within the communities. And that is why we are here. To also really let you know of what could be transpiring in the society, and that is one reason also really you too needs to be part of that discussions, and really that is why it is always important for you to also really be part of the discussions. And let's leave Maracha and URA story aside. Let's head into Moyo district, where the district has offered 3 hectares of land, that is to establish a high court also really in there. That is one thing I must remind you of. This is quite good, because they realize that there is a lot of court backlog really, where people's cases are being delayed, sometimes because of the maybe that is also really because of lack of a high court circuit in there. And I believe also really for the district to offer land for the construction of a high court, this is really very, very much good. And where the Moyo district has offered land for the establishment of a high court circuit to cover the areas of Northwest region and reduce too much expenses incurred by the people in their quest, that is for justice. And this was revealed by Honorable Nyama Williams, the chairman LC5, that's for Moyo district, last morning, and where in his office, where he said the district has now offered land for the construction of a High Court circuit that is also really going to address case backlog. And the point of West Nile region have also been battling High Court sessions from Arua, which has been too busy and costly in terms of travel and expenses, in which many people also really, and many cases have resulted in some people abandoning court processes and losing interest in their judicial processes. And today, due to lack of these High Court processes, maybe High Court circuit established within the districts, maybe that could also really be affecting the services, maybe areas of the judicial system, because for somebody to move from Moyo, maybe to come to Arua, and really the person is postponed, and because usually we see cases being adjourned. Once these cases are adjourned for long, somebody loses interest, and that is why also really they give up on these cases. And really that is one thing I must say could be happening and affecting the people very, very much in there. Honorable Nyamulila was the chairman of LC5 Council, that's from Moyo District, also doubles as West Nile Regional Development Agenda Wender, and the institution also really, where he also doubles as the chairman, also really in Mayor's region, also say the institution has managed to convince the judicial system to establish high courts in Nebi to serve as a Luru Civil sub-region, and Moyo also really to serve, that's Northwest Nile region, that is the areas of Madiland, really also where the authorities have gone ahead to offer land for the establishment of the High Court, and now the district is in process of transferring land title in the names of the judiciary, and that is one thing I must say is very, very good. And maybe let's first connect to Moyo and what the leaders there are saying in relation to offering the land for this establishment of this High Court circuit that is really going to be a very good one for them. And really I want to say this is a good one. We also need to offer land, such that also really issues of case backlog, issues of maybe justice denied, because usually we say justice delayed is justice denied, and really I believe construction of these facilities is also really a good one, because first of all it's going to attract the numbers of the judicial officials, which are still very few. And I want to say we want to see the numbers of the judicial officials being increased, because you will realize that the numbers are still very much few. And what the government needs to do is to also ensure that the numbers of the judiciary officers is increased, because usually we are talking about case backlog, and I believe the case backlog is also really coming partly because of the number of the few judicial officers in this country. And I really want to say today we have seen so many of these lawyers coming out from the schools. Why don't they be enrolled maybe in the judicial system? And that would also really be quite good, because if you look at the schools, many schools are now, many universities are now today producing lawyers, and we realize that also really recently a few of them also graduated from LDC, and all these are really there. I now believe also really there to maybe take up over these positions, and really to take up, for them to take over these positions is really very, very good. And that means that government needs to increase maybe the funding to the judicial system, and secondly that would also really help increase on the numbers. Let's first connect to Moyo and see what the leaders in there are saying in relation to the land that has been offered, that is for the construction of the judicial system.
The people in the Northwest Nile region have been attending High Court sessions from Arua, which has been too costly in terms of travel expenses, which in many cases has resulted into some people abandoning the High Court processes and losing interest in the judicial system. Honorable Anyama Williams, the chairman Local Council 5 Moyo District, who doubles as the chairman for West Nile Region Development Agenda, Wenda, an association of the local council 5s and mayors in the West Nile region, said through the association they managed to convince the judiciary to consider establishing high court circuits in Nebi to serve the Aluru sub-region and Moyo to serve the Northwest Nile region, adding that as Moyo district, the authorities have gone ahead to offer land for the establishment of the High Court, and now the district is at the process of transferring the land title in the names of the judiciary.
As a district, we have offered free land with title, registered land. And now we are already in the process of transferring the land titles from Moyo district to judiciary. And already the processes are on. And I'm very optimistic that this will not take a lot of time. Very soon the process will be concluded, and we appeal to the judiciary to fast track the process. The land we have offered is not only for the judicial building, not only for the High Court. We have also offered land for establishment of staff accommodation.
Omara Innocent David, the Chief Magistrate, Moyo Magistrates Court, said establishing the High Court in Moyo District will be a very good move, which is the same as bringing services closer to the people in line with the new judiciary policies, which aims at bringing justice nearer to the people.
It is going to bring the services nearer to the people. That is in line with with the objective of the new judiciary, which is to bring services also closer to the justice, nearer to the people. But the rest, we are going to be here. It should be a short, very easy to access justice because the High Court will be located in the heart of Moyo.
Mr. Ameko Jimmy Wale, the District Probation Officer Moyo, said once the High Court circuit is brought to Moyo District, it will reduce the distance being covered by the people to seek for justice from Arua. More so, the cost involved in accessing justice will be reduced, and this will increase the number of witnesses who will testify in some capital offences.
The costs involved in the movement to access justice all the way from Adjumani, all the way from Moyo, all the way from Ubonge and Yumbe to Arua would have been reduced. That is the biggest advantage of the High Court being here. You'll realize that witnesses who are supposed to appear in some specific capital related offenses do not come because of the distance. Then the case is lost.
Superintendent of Police Dragud Ignatius, the Police Public Relations Officer for Northwest Nile Region, welcomed the decision to establish a High Court circuit within the Northwest Nile Region, saying it's the best decision being taken by the Judiciary Department, and this will reduce the long distance being covered mostly by the refugees who are mostly crossing from their camps to their country.
Some witnesses, you may find them crossing to South Sudan. Others are coming to refugees camp, and it will force them from South Sudan when they go to visit their relatives, coming back to refugees camp. Again from there, they cross to Adjumani to handle cases, which is very far. So that's the main reason why we warmly welcome the decision of the state to bring the High Court in the Northwestern region.
According to the information on ground, the Judiciary Department has okayed the request being put by the Association of the Local Council 5 chairpersons and the mayors in the West Nile region to establish High Court circuits in Nebi and Moyo District, and pledged to establish the High Courts either this financial year or next financial year. And this explains why Moyo District has gone ahead to offer about 3 hectares of land for the judiciary to establish the High Court circuit in the district to cover Adjumani, Ubongi, Yumbe and Moyo districts as the Northwest Nile region. I'm Dominic Anthony Okumo for West Nile TV, Nilecast.
All right, welcome back from that story in there about the issue of land being offered, because usually we see land offered in good faith like this, but at times the communities also really, maybe those who offer the land also come back and want to claim the land back. And this time around, the land is being offered by the local government, and we want to see it being titled, because government today fears to develop land that has no titles. And that is why the issues about also obtaining land titles is very, very much important. This goes the people maybe within their various local governments also ensure that they also really title their lands, because the issue of land titling today has become a challenge. And that is when recently I was able to also interact with authorities from Arua City, and they were also able to also really ask the people within the city also to ensure that their lands are titled, because today, if you are really not having your land titled, you may suffer a lot of repercussions. And that is why it is very, very much important for this land also really to be titled in the names of the judiciary, as the leaders in there have suggested. And we really want to see that also really maybe attaining its intended purpose, because we do not want to see people also really after taking over this land also coming back to claim. And that is why people may also really find it very, very difficult for them to also really settle on these lands. And that is why people also really need to ensure that the government programs are supported, and really government initiatives such as the judiciary in place would also really be very, very good in there. And I don't know what you think about it as a viewer. You too also really can share your ideas and opinions on what we are discussing this morning, because we are here and we do not exclude somebody out, and really we touch all the regions within Western sub-region, because we head in every part. And now let's move away from the Madi sub-region. This time around, let's head into our Luru sub-region, where Ochego chiefdom gears, that is for the consecration of their chief. And this is something also really we are seeing, and really with only few days to the official consecration of Ronald Binega, the new chief of Ochego chiefdom. Members of the Central Organizing Committee say they are set for the function, as the preparations already in high gear. And the official consecration that is of the ceremony is set to take place, that is in April this year, and that is in Tata Division. And really, I don't know what people of that area are also really thinking.
And really, we are waiting and following up on that story. We shall be able to sort of let you know when the right time comes for us to maybe to understand what is happening in there. And really, let's leave that aside. Let's move into Gulu, where Uganda Cancer Institute is set to commission Gulu Regional Referral Cancer Center. This is also really something we are seeing, and the government in a bid to fulfill commitment, including that's of the ruling government, that's of NRM, that's the manifesto for that for the 2021-2026 government is set to launch. That is the first regional cancer treatment center that's in Gulu, and that is the regional center that's to cater for the northern region part. And that is one thing I also want to remind you of, because once this facility is maybe established, and the center is part of the 4 which is in plan to be built, that is in Arua, Mbale, and also Mbarara respectively. Today, if you really look at what is happening at the Uganda Cancer Institute in Mulago, you will really understand why the government needs to establish regional centers, because really the regional facilities will help address that is the issues of also really overcrowding at the facilities. Because really I was able to move into Mulago, where at least my auntie was. Really, I must also say it was a sad one really to see that people really are not having the best of their lives at the health facility because of overcrowding. The numbers are really overwhelming, and you will realize that all the cancer cases from across the country are being referred to Mulago, and I really believe establishment of regional facilities will help address that solution. And really, I must say it is a quiet one, and that is why we always need to protect ourselves from cancer. We need to also really pray to God that God does also really make us get this disease, because it's quite a dangerous one. Cancer is a really dangerous disease which has kept on claiming a number of lives, and that's one thing also really I want to say. People of this region need to desist from practices that may also really make them get cancer. For instance, the issues about also really we know about those diseases, maybe those causes, about also really those chemicals that we may also really use that may be very, very much dangerous for us, and that is why we need to desist from those tendencies, which will also really not be very, very okay for us there. And Uganda Cancer Institute is set to launch officially the first regional cancer center that is also to operate, that is outside Kampala. Gulu Regional Referral Center, also really Regional Cancer Center, is actually the place. We are waiting for the official commissioning, and we want to see maybe how this facility will help improve on people's livelihoods, that in terms of also really addressing the disease, which is also really known to be a very, very much dangerous in there. Maybe let's first connect to Stephen Okello in Gulu with that story also really on how maybe the preparations are set for the launch of the first regional cancer center, which will be in Gulu, and this is actually going to be addressing the areas of Acholi, and we also want to see one in Arua that will also really act as the center that's for Western sub-region, besides also really Mulago National Referral Center, because Western will be going to Mbarara, as other centers will also really be having it established in the various regions. And this is actually to help decentralize the facilities also really, which we're talking about overcrowding at the national facility, which is already said to be very, very much crowded in there. And maybe let's first get to see how the preparations are already underway for the launch of that facility.
Uganda Cancer Institute is set to officially launch the first regional cancer treatment center to operate outside Kampala, Gulu Regional Cancer Center.
And we came to check where we have reached so that we are able to commission it. From our assessment, we think we are close to 90% completion. We have already started using it. We have already been treating patients. Patients have had surgeries, others have had treatment, and others have been diagnosed. The beauty with this center is that patients are diagnosed real time. They are looked at here, and through the internet, our consultants are able to evaluate them and give the response, and then we have treatment.
Olong Clinton explained to the delegations the accuracy and capacity of some of the modern machines they are using to diagnose and treat cancer patients at Gulu Regional Cancer Center.
If it's renal, liver, and then electrolytes, we use copper 311, which can do for us liver function tests, renal profile can do for us, lipid profile can do for us, electrolytes. And then for tumor markers, that aids in the monitoring treatment and prognosis, or maybe screening, some of the screening tests like PSA, CEA, we do them using what? Cobas E411. And it helps us, it has the capability of running 30 samples at a time.
The center now is fully equipped and set to begin operation in full gear. For accuracy and quick service, there is free and fast interactions between the doctors in Gulu Regional Cancer Center and that of Uganda Cancer Institute in Kampala.
But that one is beyond me. So all patients are being handled. We are able to do direct backing examinations. We are able to do the horizontal backing examinations. Okay? So the population is being served, and all the answers are still coming out. As you say, there is a back system. The images are got, they are uploaded to the server. The report is made, sent back, and printed and handed over to the patient immediately.
In the last 3 months, with limited number of staff posted to the center to assemble and set the equipment, number of cancer patients, both those who have been diagnosed from Uganda Cancer Institute in Kampala and the local new cases have been handled from Gulu Regional Cancer Center.
From July to December, we have attended to about 377 clients. Out of the 377, over 222 are cancer patients, those with a confirmed cancer diagnosis. So we have a skeleton team of about 19 staff, and therefore we really need to have the number of staff boosted such that we can optimally perform.
Dr. Charles Solaro, the representative Minister of Health, called upon the management of Gulu Regional Cancer Treatment Center to prioritize the aspect of preventive measures through sensitizations.
Even if you put these units and you're not able to prevent cancer, then the numbers will overwhelm the facility. As I mentioned earlier, definitely cancer with the cervix is preventable by vaccinating girls either at primary, at P4, or at 10 years up to 14.
Every year, over 30,000 new cases of cancer is spotted in Uganda, and out of this, only 7,000 cases are seen at Uganda Cancer Institute in Kampala. This means that over 20,000 Ugandans have been silently dying of cancer annually, and the Regional Cancer Treatment Center is coming up to solve these problems. Stephen Okello for West Nile
Right, welcome back from that story, and really that should be a good one, and we want to see all these facilities established across all the regional headquarters, because if you really look at Arua, this is actually said to be the regional, maybe city for Western Sub-region, and without any doubt, and that is why the facility needs to be constructed in here, so that this would also really help attract people from all places across Western Sub-region, also really to act as that facility in there. Because if you look at what is happening at Mulago, trust me, you will not wish to see what is happening in there, because sometimes the patients are sleeping on the floor, where the caretakers have to be pushed off to go and sleep, maybe from outside, which is because of a result of overwhelming population. If you look at the numbers are really overwhelming, and that means the facility cannot help maybe accommodate all the people from across the entire country. And today, with the numbers of increasing cancer cases, trust me, this facility needs to be established timely. And really, after commissioning of Gulu, we also wish to see maybe one of Arua also commissioned, because really our people here who are affected by cancer have to travel long distances, and really they're wasting a lot of money in terms of transport. Really, sometimes after going for review, you see people coming back and they have to really go back. They are wasting a lot of monies, and really sometimes where they do not have actually the monies, because the cancer drugs themselves are very expensive, and really coupled with the issues of now transport, it really makes it difficult for these people to maybe follow all the prescriptions the medical personnel are laying in place, and that is why you see people also skipping maybe them going for reviews, and that would also really be very, very bad, because cancer is really a contagious disease, which is really very, very dangerous, but still nonetheless we can also really protect ourselves from that disease, and that is why it is very, very much important for us to ensure that we check ourselves from this disease timely, because usually they say cancer, when detected early, it can be cured, but really it becomes very dangerous, where it becomes also really very, maybe where it is detected lately, and that is why people also need to ensure that they also really maybe go for this test, that is for them to also really assess if they are told they have the cancer, which is really said to be a very dangerous disease, but really it is curable, and that is why also really we are following up on that discussion. We want to say let government speed up, that's with the process of also really ensuring these facilities are developed, such that also really people also really maybe get also really
to have the disease may be cured. And as we're talking about cancer, also there's another disease that is now also breaking up, that is in the country, and it has been detected in the areas of Kampala. This is the red eye disease, commonly known as conjunctivitis, and that is also now medical people call it. You may forgive me, I'm not a medical personnel, but I want to say this disease is already out there in place, and that is why people also need to desist from the tendencies and protect themselves from that disease, which is said to be a very, very much contagious in that can spread from one people to another, and maybe who are the poor, vulnerable, definitely the children who are really also playing with the other groups, and that is why also as parents we need to ensure that we tell our children to avoid unnecessary playing during this period, which may also really be very, very much dangerous for them to also really contract this disease that we're talking about, which is common known as red eye, which has already hit areas of Kampala. And really for people to prevent themselves from this disease is quite simple. Let's avoid tendencies of also really handshakes, because handshakes is where the disease is actually very, very much spread, and this is why people also need to ensure that they avoid the issue of handshakes, and children also need to be also cautioned against handshakes, and this is where parents also really need to advise their children to also avoid tendencies of handshakes during this period, which may also really be very, very much unfortunate for them. And secondly, people need to wash their hands with clean soap and clean water and soap. This would also really act maybe as an SOP, because this is a standard operating procedure, which would also really help maybe protect them from this disease that we're talking about today. And this is something that really did go on down during also after the period of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the post-COVID-19 pandemic, why do I say in the post-COVID, at least COVID has reduced, but we are saying COVID is still there. But during this time, at least the numbers have gone down. But people need to also ensure that they observe the SOPs that were in place. For instance, washing hands using clean water and soap. And secondly, also really maintaining distance, and also really maybe also not touching their eyes maybe with their hands. That would also be very, very much bad, because if people continue to not avoid, maybe observe these tendencies, it would be very, very much dangerous for them also to contract the disease. And that is how we can be able to protect ourselves and our loved one from that disease. It's quite simple. Let's observe all those procedures that are in place, as such that also we disease from this tendencies. But parents, let's ensure that we continue talking to our children, as such that also they disease from these tendencies of contracting the disease. That would also really be quite good for them. But for now, let's also head in for a short commercial breather, and when we come back, we shall be also letting you know more of other topics that we have not given you, that will also really happen here on West Nile Television, Kokoliriko Live Show. And my name is FARISH MAJID. Stay tuned to watching West Nile TV as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13th, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome into our second hour of the show. This is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV. You're most welcome from wherever you are watching us from. We say it's a great pleasure having you on board. And definitely this is a show also where we are going to be letting you know of what is happening right from the region and also to the world. That is why we are here to also really give you those updates. And yesterday on security, we did see also police confirming about 2 arrests. And these are people who are related to the ADF, and these are 2 ADF remnants who were arrested. That is at the Lear custom point as they were trying to enter, that is DRC. And what does it mean? That means that people of this sub-region, we need to be careful and cautious of what could be happening that is across our vicinities, and that is why we need to also be very, very much vigilant of the people who are really within our areas, because these 2 yesterday we are arrested and taken to Kampala also really for further investigations, and that is why we need to also be very, very much vigilant on what could be happening in our society. And that is one reason I also want to remind you of and say we need to avoid these tendencies, because once these things happen in our areas, that would also really act maybe as a weakness on maybe on our side as people of the areas, because it is we are stakeholders in upholding security of our country, in maybe of our city. That means that if you see somebody maybe whom you do not trust, you need to report to police and let police also carry out their investigations on who exactly who this person is and what exactly they are doing, and maybe why exactly they have come into that particular area. That will be also very, very much important. And maybe even before you rush to police, the LC1 systems are in place. We need to ensure that these people work with the LC1s, and that is why as LC1 chairperson, you need to also really understand who exactly are living in your areas. But sometimes the LC1s do not have time really to also really understand what could be happening maybe within their areas, and that is how unfortunate it is. But really as LC1 chairpersons, let's ensure that people who are moving into our areas are known, and these are people who actually must also really tell us where exactly they're coming from and what they exactly do for a living, and that is one reason also really I want to remind you of. And moving away from that, police in the Road District are holding 2 people who are also really alleged who are also arrested for attempting to bribe police with shillings 2 million to kill. That's a murder case, and this incident happened in the Road District, and I must say this is quite a shocking and also sad one. As on Monday 15th of April 2024, the Territorial Police of Road District have arrested and detained 2 people for bribing them with, that is 2 million Ugandan shillings. That is also in an attempt to kill a murder case. And the arrest was made on Sunday 14th of April 2024 at around 4:30 p.m. in the evening. That's at Arua District Police CPS, where also really, this was in Vura Sub-County in the Road District, where the police also really arrested and detained the suspects, also really identified as Ajikia Anet, also a female, age that is 28 years old, Lubarabai tribe, and Nyakuta Brian, male adult, 22 years of age, all residents of also really Nyo village, that's in your parish, Arua district. Therefore, they alleged also really developed a murder case in there, but these 2 actually attempted to give money as a bribe to police, also to also kill the murder case that happened in there. And it's alleged that on 17th of December 2023, one called Arijole Alido was murdered by his brother, that's Onjima Innocent, and other clan members, that his house was demolished and all his properties were also burnt by the same people. After killing him, the body was dumped inside the pit latrine. They accused him of being also really maybe committing these offenses. All the suspects allegedly escaped to hide in DRC, and a case of murder was also opened against the 2 under police case in Arua District, also Vura under CPS, also CRB 239/2023, and malicious damage and arson were registered on SD reference 13th of December 2023. When the suspect received information about the OC CID detective, that is ASP Kalinaki Jaffa,
who was brought also, they decided to come together back home from DRC when they saw also their homes also being surrounded by the CID, and that is actually how they resorted to giving this money here. But really, how maybe should people act when they are also really maybe affected by crimes, and maybe when they commit crimes? Is actually bribing the way to go? Definitely we say no, because this incident happened, and really this annoyed the OCCID detective, that is SSP Kalinaki Jafar, who ordered for the arrest and detention of the two suspects. And that is one thing also I want to say. We want to also really commend the OC4, because this is transparency at job, and this is where we also need to also ensure that we talk about these issues, because sometimes members of the public are having doubt in the police system, and really for an OC of this nature to also really reject money that is worth 2 million Uganda shillings, that is quite commendable. It means that our fight against corruption is yielding fruits, because the OC may have chosen to eat the money and also really maybe kill the case, and that is what didn't happen in that incident. And really we want to also really commend the OC for that good job done. We appreciate police, and really that is also why we also want to give them kudos for the good job. But once the good job done, but really at times where they're doing the wrong one, we also really have to come back and also really also caution them, and we also have to fire them. That is why also really we are here on the Kokoliriko Live Show. It is to ensure transparency in our societies, and really that is also really one thing that we must ensure that justice prevails in our areas, in our vicinities, and our various districts. And that is why it is very, very much important for us to also really ensure that we also talk about this. And now a case of bribing a police officer on duty was registered under SD reference, that is 16th or 14th of 2024, against the two statements who were obtained from the two suspects as well as from the witnesses. The 2 million Ugandan shillings was also really recovered as exhibit, and now police is going to keep this money. But really after there, where shall they keep the money? Are we going to be seeing maybe after themselves serving their sentences also really receiving their 2 million back? That is now the question also we are asking ourselves, and that is also one thing we want to know, if at all this money will be also returned to them, if at all they have also really maybe been taken to court after serving their sentences. Are we going to be seeing that 2 million being returned back? That is the question that I should be asking ourselves, and I believe just like you may also really be asking yourselves the same question. And they were also transferred from Arua district to also the Arua City Central Division, ready to be taken to court to answer the offense of bribing a police officer. And meanwhile, the suspect of murder, one Onzima Innocent, was also taken to Arua Central Division, that is also for medical examination to ascertain his mental status. And this act of bribing police officer to kill a case is corruption, and the arrest of the two also really should send a message to the general public that Uganda Police Force is a professional institution that does not encourage corruption, and also does not also think of police officers who indulge in corruption office practices like maybe taking bribes also need to desist from the same tendencies, as they can be arrested and prosecuted according to the law. And that information we did receive, that's from that's SSP Josephine Anguchia, who is actually the PRO for West Nile Police Region, and that's also something we want to also say did happen in there. And really, she also did also talk about that this also got red-handed, and the exhibit of 2 million was also really taken, so exposing them well, and data from others also really from the vice. And really, that's something also really we want to see, because the OCCID was also really very, very much good in there from that, also really taking that initiative of also ensuring that the transparency that is within the Uganda Police Force is also really achieved, because we cannot do that alone. We have to also play a role in terms of achieving that, because if you really talk about that, then definitely that is also really something we also really maybe that could be affecting us all, because we want to see all these issues being addressed. Other than that, we may also really see people suffering from also really maybe tendencies of also really not them getting the right information, and that is why people also need to desist from those tendencies, and that would also really be a very, very good for them in there. And that is also one thing we want to also leave that discussion aside. Now let's head nationally, where some 27 NUP supporters were actually also denied bail again, and the General Court Martial has rejected bail pleas of, that is Olivia Lutaya, rights activists under NUP, and 27 others who were also really said to be political detainees and affiliated to the National Unity Platform Party, who were actually denied also bail again. And Miss Olivia Lutaya, 27 years old, is in 2021 violently arrested from her home, that is Namongo, Kampala suburb, and detained in Kado for weeks before she was arraigned in the military court. And that is also something when we got her arrested, that was right from 2021, and we are in 2024. That means that she has been in court for quite a long period of time. But when shall this people be released and freed? And recently we did see a NUP council also really coming up on board and to request also really the president to pardon and forgive these NUP people, which not really goes well with some of the NUP people who more so the leaders who said for this people to be freed, it must be also really under fair hearing, and that is why this people need to be freed. But really, we did see also this issue going on. And along with other 30 others, Ms. Lutaya is being charged in the military court despite being a civilian contract, the Constitutional Court, which is also really a court decree now, because this is a civilian and she does not qualify to be also charged at the military court. But we are seeing her being charged at the military court. What does this show of our judicial system? This is where also really people also need to ask themselves questions. And Ms. Lutaya on Monday watched as 4 of her fellow detainees, all male, were granted temporary freedom by the army court, but she was also really sentenced back in there. And Ms. Lutaya's case has gained global attention, and despite all the condemnation, freedom is one of the things that is fact-looking, also really like mockery for her in her sympathies, as she says. Also really want to see maybe at one time these 27 others, together with Olivia, also really being freed in there. And on Monday, Brigadier General Robert Mugabe, chairman of the court-martial in matching the also military bag, confirmed as much as when he again denied Ms. Lutaya her constitutional right to bail. He also really said that these applicants also really filed a motion seeking bail under various legal provisions, including that is Article 23, subsection 6, and Article 139, subsection 1 of the Constitution of Uganda, that is of 1995, and also Section 14 of the relevant laws. And they argued for their constitutional rights, or for that is to apply for bail, emphasizing the bearable nature of their offense and their prolonged custody without a clear trial, timeline, availability of the reliable sureties. And that is also really something we did see happening in there. And so many people have also really come out to also really echo out their voices on the same matter. And most prominent among this is Winnie Byanyima, and she says, what is the case against Olivia Lutaya? Why is Olivia in jail? Has Olivia has a chance to defend herself in court? These are the questions that she was able to ask and share information about Olivia. Many people will raise their voices about the defense of human rights. And really, that is also really something we must also want to see, because it is against her fundamental human right to keep her in incarceration, also really for all this while. And you will also really understand that this is against her right. Also really, why must she be kept for all this period? And Pius Jadua also really did also echo out her voice on the same matter, and he says Olivia Lutaya has been incarcerated for more than 2 years, and she is a mother and someone's daughter who is wrongly accused of defending what she thinks is right through supporting the new party. And really, that is one thing also we did see people also really echoing out their voices on. And while acknowledging that the offense were indeed bailable, the Army Court said the applicants had already spent a significant amount of time in custody and failed to establish a fixed places of residence within the court's jurisdiction, and that is why they have been kept in incarceration. And the Army Court has also expressed concerns about the risks of applications, that is absconding of granted bail, and also that is something we must also remind you of. And the accused individuals are alleged to have also been found in illegal possession of, that is 13 pieces of explosive devices between November 2020 and also in May 2020 in areas of Jinja, Mbali, Chireka, Nakulabye, Kawempe, Natete, and Kampala Central, and this is where they were also really arrested in there. And this group is part of the 32 NUP supporters who made also really a second bail application in 2023. However, only 4 of the 32 were granted bail, and Ronald Mainja, Richard Nyombi, Kenneth Kamia, and Shafin Gobi were the 4 individuals who actually were granted bail because they had substantial sureties, fixed places of residence, and we are unlikely also to interfere with the state witnesses' ongoing investigations, according to Brigadier Mugabe in there. And the prosecution, relying on the affidavits of Lieutenant Eli Musinguzi, an investigator from the Chieftains of Military Intelligence, opposed their release, also really arguing that the securities provided were not substantial. And also this is something also we did see happening in there. And Brigadier Mugabe agreed that the prosecution is in ruling, stating that most of the securities were not sufficient, and only 4 of them had the requirements also really for them to actually get this, maybe the bail. And those denied bail alongside Ms. Lutaya on Monday included Ms. Yasin Sechitoleko, Alias Machete, Robert Christopher Rugamayo, Patrick Mwase, Simon Chikabe, and Muidin Kakoza, and others also include that is Abdu Matovu, Ronald Tijambo, Sharif Kalanzi, Joseph Muonge, Misach Chiwanuka, and Abdallah Chintu, Omar Emakato, and also Musa Kavuma in there. And these are the people who were actually denied bail, and really we want to see maybe how this case will be able to continue, but we shall be able to keep you more updated. Maybe at the time they will be able to already be granted bail in there. But I believe so many people could be maybe echoing their fears about the same issues. I don't know what you think about it. for this to be denied bail up this period of time, right from 2020 and 2021. These were actually when they were arrested. Up to now, they are still in police. I don't know what you think about it, but also maybe let's first move away from that story. Maybe if you drop your comment, we shall be able to check it through and read it and share with the rest of the viewers, and that is why we are already here. Moving away from that, yesterday we did also receive the shocking news about the death of Dr. Martin Alika, who passed on that is at the age of 95, and this is something also we did see yesterday, because he has been maybe at the helm of also maybe offering mentorship to some of the medical personnel, and also he has been a presidential advisor. And Dr. Martin Alika, a titan of human medicine and business, died, and really friends and family also revealed yesterday, and there was no immediate cause of death, but Alika is said to have died from Nakasero Hospital, where he has been admitted, and he passed on at the age of 95. And Dr. Alika is not a dental surgeon and distinguished businessman, leaves behind a legacy marked by an unwavering commitment, that is to public also service and entrepreneurship. And he was born in Gulu, this was on 21st of October in the year that was 1928, that is Rotlachito Okech and Juliana Auma. Dr. Alika's journey towards excellence began early in his life, and that is also something we did see. And maybe if we can talk about this gentleman who passed on yesterday, and he went, that is to Gulu High School, and later proceeded to King's College Budo due to his academic prowess. He later proceeded that to Makerere University also to study medicine in there, and this is something also maybe somebody was able to also maybe ask who exactly this lady we're talking about is, and that is something also we did see. And later on, he embarked on studies that is in the political science at Northwestern University in Chicago, also where he also did proceed to the US, and that's something also we did see maybe about his profession. And upon completing studies, Dr. Alika returned to Uganda armed with the directorate of that dental surgeon, becoming a trailblazer by founding the first black co-owned dental practice in Kampala. And his also entrepreneurial spirit led him to invest in numerous businesses across Uganda, cementing his reputation as a visionary leader in the country's corporate landscape. In addition to his achievements, Dr. Alika was a devoted public servant, serving also as a senior president advisor and the foreign affairs minister in President Museveni's administration. And that is also something we may also talk about him, because he served the nation. And his diplomatic acumen also was widely recognized, as he undertook on his behalf, that is of Uganda, facilitating crucial dialogues with international leaders, also including President Omar al-Bashir of South Sudan and Muammar Gaddafi of Libya in there. Dr. Alika's contribution extended beyond the realms of healthcare and diplomacy, as he also became as the founding chancellor of Gulu University. He played a great role in advancing and higher education, fostering intellectual growth, that is northern Uganda. That is why also we may also remind him, and today Gulu University has grown to that, maybe where we have seen it grow. Definitely, he had also immense contribution there as the first chancellor of that university there. And beyond his professional accomplishment, Dr. Alika's personal life was characterized by also a number of issues, where also championed love and enduring also championship, also where he celebrated, where he is also believed to also celebrate 60 years of his marriage with his beloved wife, that's Camille, a testament of their unwavering bond and shared commitment to family. As Uganda also mourns the loss of this visionary leader and compassionate servant of the people, Dr. Martin Jerome Okech Alika's legacy will continue to inspire generations to come. And definitely for those who wish to also become dental surgeons, definitely you may also now know why we are talking about this, because today we have a very few medical personnel, more so in Western sub-region, and we want to see more who must also draw their inspirations from such leaders who have gone, because definitely these are people also who have maybe persisted and also persevered a number of issues for them to reach those heights. That means that for you who is out there maybe thinking of what to do to become who you want to become, definitely I must say it is still very, very much possible for you to actually become maybe who you want to become. And that is also one thing I must also remind you of. That is also why we must also ensure that we talk about these issues, because as somebody out there may not be knowing why we are talking about these issues, definitely I want to remind you of it is possible for you to actually do what you want to become. That is why also it is very, very much important for people to also ensure that they also maybe follow their dreams, because for people to have their dreams, to achieve them is another. And that is why also people need to ensure that they also maybe achieve the same thing. And moving on from that, also yesterday on sad note, we also did receive the news about the ex-professor who who was actually at Makerere University, who brokered TESO peace between, that is UPA and NRA, who actually posted on yesterday. And these are sad note, and these are important people who have actually been into this country, and really losing them at this period of time. It is quite unfortunate. And really, I also want to remind you about the death yesterday that was of Professor Pio Opelu, who played a key role that not only in also brokering peace between a rebel outfit, that is of Uganda People's Army, and also the National Eastern Army, that is in the late 1980s to the 90s, who actually passed on yesterday. And his cousin Emily Arayo told journalists that this Professor Opelu was also really the professor who was chairperson of TESO Peace Commissioner, who died on Monday morning at Zambia Hospital, where he had been admitted and for some period of time. And TESO Peace Commissioner was a council also really notable for professionals from TESO sub-region and really that NRA Institute to talk about the UPA militias who also put their maybe arms down. And that is also really something we shall be able to remember him for. And really that is also why we want to say how maybe is your legacy when it comes to also really maybe that issue of also really maybe also really if we are to talk about that, because that is also really something we must also remind ourselves of, because you are today maybe holding that office. But how do you hold it? That is the question we should be asking ourselves out there, because if at all we are not maybe minding maybe what kind of legacy shall we be leaving behind, that is also really something that people need to ask themselves, because if at all they do not also ask themselves those questions, it may be very, very difficult for them, maybe also to assess them, and we may not be able to remember them once they are gone. And that is also really one reason also really we want to also really maybe also inform you of. Let's maybe hold offices that we are into with a lot of also really professionalism, with a lot of love for maybe the country at large, because you are holding that office, and definitely how are you going to maybe also really maybe serve the people. And that is why it is very, very much important for people to also really also ensure that they abide by also really the issues that we're talking about. And definitely that is also really something that will also really be able to also really maybe let them know of maybe how we shall be able to remember them of. That is what the issue about legacy. Let's mind about the legacy of maybe who we are, maybe in the officers. And that is one thing also really we want to remember, also really want to remind you of, because other than that, we may also really see you not serving the people rightly, and that would also really be very, very much unfortunately also for you there. But really I want to remind you of the legacy for those who are in this office. Moving on from that story, as we still have lots more in the stories of this morning. Kampala businessman jailed over forgery is also really another story that we are seeing on the past this morning. A renowned city businessman, Robert Twinom Juni, has been remanded to Luzira prison after being charged, that is with also forgery of land sale agreement in the southwestern Tungamo district. And Mr. Twinom Juni, who owns properties that is in the capital Kampala, was interdicted, that is at Buganda Road Court, that is the Buganda Road Magistrate Court, on Friday following his arrest and detention at the CPS in Kampala. And he faces additional charges of uttering, that's a false document, and forgery of acknowledgement, that is of receipt of money from the land sale agreement, as well as forgery of national identity cards. And he's co-accused with 43-year-old Samson Arinaitwe, a self-employed resident, that's of Nyakaita Cell in Kagongi Cell Ward, Central Division, that's the municipality of Kabale, which neighbors in Tungamo to the southwest. To the south, I mean, that is also something that we are yet following up and seeing on the story this morning. And it's not reported that Arinaitwe was still at large in court on Friday. Presiding Chief Magistrate Ronald Kaizi remanded Twinom Juni until Thursday this week, when he will reappear for the hearing and determination of that's of his bail also application in there. And defense lawyers had presented 5 sureties, but prosecution led by Ms. Joanne Keko asked for at least 4 working days to authenticate particulars of the sureties and documents they presented in court there. And she added that we have come across forged documents which we request for a few days to verify, since the sureties are in Kampala and we shall not take long. We pray for at least up to Thursday. And however, defense attorney, that's Max Mutabingwa, objected, reasoning that the state had no legal also basis for the request and also time to also sort of verify these documents, and that is why also really maybe they were not able to also really follow up on that. But really we need to be careful, because today we have a lot of people who are taken to be conmen who may also take advantage of us, and that is why we need to also ensure that once we are into this people, and that we need to also ensure that we are protected, and we also need to ensure that also really our money, that the little we have, may also really be protected from this and maybe unscrupulous people. That would also really be very, very much good for us there. Moving on from that story, police suspended land protection unit boss, That's also another story that we are seeing on the path this morning. And the Commandant of Land Protection Unit that has been suspended on allegations of mismanaging investigations of mismanaging lots of investigation into a land dispute reportedly involving relatives of high-profile persons in Ruhama in Tungamo district, and this is something also we are seeing on the path this morning. And sources acknowledge that about also matter said the suspension of Assistant Commissioner of Police Johnson Olal followed separate investigation by Police Inspectorate and the Police Professional Standards Unit. Also, that issue that we have just also really also talked about. And Enanga told journalists on Friday that he had not also received formal notification from his superiors about the arrest, and that is also really something we are also seeing on the past morning. And the incident that led to the suspension of the senior officer Stam, that's from an alleged sale of land that is to popular city businessman Robert Tunumjuni, who owns properties. That is in June 2020, and it's alleged that Mr. Tunumjuni was on Friday also really charged over the transaction of the land and remanded to Luzira prison together with his co-accused, that is Samson Arnaitu. And this is also really a story that we did also really develop, also let you know about recently here on the show. And really I want to remind you of all these people, but definitely we must also really ensure that we protect ourselves from, because these are people also who may want to take advantage of people who may not also understand maybe the law, what exactly it says. That would also really be very, very much unfortunate for them in there. And really that is also one story that we need to move away from now, as we are running away from maybe time, because we are just remaining with very few minutes, as we shall also really be kicking out of there, moving away from the story. But still moving on, a student 16-year-old ran over on pavement is also really another side story we are seeing on the paper this morning, and this is also really in the world of crime. And Fiona Namiala was seconds from stepping into Bethel Perez High School, that is in Buyenga, when her life was cut short by an errant motorist. And Namiala, 16, was on Monday walking on the pavement which the errant had for most convenient to drive on, and the driver of the Mitsubishi Canter, that is number plate UBG 013T, is on the run. Police, according to information from police, after committing that incident there. And the Kampala Metropolitan Police, that spokesperson Deputy Luke Oisjire, attributed the cause of the accident, that is already to congestion, which is at the peak, and reckless driving in there. That is also really something we did see happening in there. But really, how can we ensure we protect ourselves from accidents? Because today we are talking about accidents each and every day we come on the show. We must also remind you of an accident that could be happening somewhere. And that is also really why we need to also ensure that we protect ourselves from maybe the accidents. And this goes back to the drivers. Let them mind about other road users, and also really maybe the passengers. But really for somebody to move from the maybe from the road and also to cross on where the pedestrians are moving. This is quite unfortunate. That is why we need to also ensure that we drive carefully and maybe also not under the influence of alcohol. And that is why we may also really need it very, very much important for us to also really bring back police campaigns on the road. We need to see more traffic officers being recruited, and that is also really why we need to also really maybe remind you of. But for now, let's first head into a short commercial breather, which is our second half also really of our first hour, of our second hour, which is also really here as we bounce back shortly from the commercial break. And we shall be letting you know of more other stories that could be on the papers this morning. And that is why we need to also really remind you of maybe other stories that could be happening, as also really interviews for maybe for people who are going to be carrying out the new boss jobs. I want to remind you of the interviews are very soon, and also really police is also going to be carrying out also maybe the recruitments, and all these are here to also take you to take advantage of. But for now, let's first have this short commercial breather as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
on all 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13th, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial breather. Now let's head into Jinja, where the medics are striking over the contested land. And this land is actually, the fight is between the hospital administration and Uganda Muslim Spring Council, who are also claiming ownership of the same land. And now hospital has granted to hold that medics also laid down their tools to participate in a peaceful demonstration over the contested prime land in the city, also in Jinja there. And clad in their medical attires, the medics also blocked the main gate of the hospital, and Jinja Hospital and Uganda Muslim Spring Council have been embroiled in a battle for the 4-acre piece of land on which also the cemetery sits in there. And this is something also really we want to say, maybe when can the leaders also really timely sit and resolve this issue once and for all, because this issue about the land has always been there, much as the court also really at one time ruled that this land belongs to, that is the Muslim body. But really, the hospital also really claims ownership of the same land. Now, who exactly owns this land definitely is the question that you also really must be asking yourself out there. And Jinja Hospital, Uganda Spring Council have also really been into that, also really that fight over this piece of land that is said to be also located just as a prime land. And the land located that's along Cliff Road West and also next to Jinja Hospital and Bucks Road has been used by Uganda Muslim Spring Council, also Uganda Muslim community, as a cemetery that is since 1927. And on it last week, we did see the Muslims also storming that area to also really sit with that they pray on that piece of land there. And this is something also we did see maybe not happening in very well there. But also administration is a hospital, but the hospital is adamant that they have the right to same land and they intend to use it for medical also development. And this is something also we did see happening in there. And police led by DPC Jinja Central Police Station that is also heavily deployed in and around the hospital. And this is to bring that is also peace in that area there. And the contested land which was last month handed over to Jinja Muslim community by the State Minister for Lands, also that Dr. Sam Mayanja in there. But really, who exactly owns this land is the question that you should be asking yourself out there, because this issue about the land continues to happen each and every day. But really, who exactly owns land is the question that really we must be asking ourselves. But really, I believe that is also really something also we want to see maybe maybe solution to it offered once and for all, because this issue about the land continues to happen. But really, much as we have seen efforts underway to also really bring back maybe this land, but really, who exactly owns this land? Is it the hospital administration or it is the Muslims body? Definitely, that is also really something we want to also really understand and maybe have a clear understanding of. That is also really something that will also really be very, very good in there. And still land related, let's move into Chambogo now, where Chambogo land is said to be leased to investor. Also really, this is actually how MPs also got to know about it yesterday. And legislators on the Committee of Education and Sports have been shocked to learn that the Uganda Land Commission has leased the part of Chambogo University land to a private Indian investor without the knowledge of the university administration. And the legislators say the decision to lease out Chambogo University land will not only block, that is the ongoing developments at the university, but also the expansion of the second biggest university in Uganda. And this is also something we are seeing here. And the issue of land continue to happen, but really where we're seeing also really people who are supposed to protect the land also really acting now as also really ADs to also really maybe take over this land, then becomes quite unfortunate. And the three public universities include Mountain of the Moon University, that's in Fort Portal, Lira University, and Chambogo University appeared before the Education Committee during the presentation of the sector's ministerial policy statements.
and the budget estimates that is for the financial year 2024-2025. And also really the three universities told the legislature that the budget cuts for the next financial year will affect the operations ranging from development, research, breakthrough, remittance of lunch allowances and salaries for part-of-time lecturers, and among others. Also really this is something also we did see happening in there. And away from this, the committee was shocked to learn that the Uganda Land Commission has a lease that is part of the Chambogo University land to a private Indian developer without the knowledge of the university. And the acting university secretary, Arthur Katongole, told MPs that the lease was also done without the knowledge of the university. And this is quite unfortunate. And this comes at a time when the university is battling with hundreds of encroachers on the public land of the university. Also really where we're also now seeing the government now also aiding also this land to be given to private investors. That becomes really quite unfortunate. And Mr. John Twesije, the chairperson of the committee, said they have received the report of fluctuating number of squatters on the university land. Also, he said the committees was taken back. That is also to find out the Uganda Land Commission has also leased that is the land, moreover, to the Indian, and they are not aware of the investor who was also really not in place. And the cadastral boundary of Chambogo University land as described as a plot 902, also that is also which overlaps into the Sonkole private Milo land. That is estimated that is to be at 46.4 hectares in there. And really, how can we ensure that people also really desist from tendencies of also really taking over ownership of this land? That is also really something which may also really not be very good in there for us to be witnessing. And other than that, this may also really be quite unfortunate. And I really want to call upon people now to also really desist from such tendencies, which may also really be very much in there, unfortunate for them there. And also really, we want to also say people need to desist from these tendencies, because these issues of the land continue to also really also be affecting also these people in there. Because if you talk about the land, definitely that is also really something that people also really must also ensure that they talk about, because these issues of the land definitely continue to happen and also really affect also development there. And how is this affecting development? Right now, if we see the Nambola Stadium, which is also really under development, one of the factors also really that has been also slowing the development of that area has been also really the issue about the land that is also really being given to Pioneer Land Bus, also really for parking their buses in there, which has also really hampered the development of this area. Now, Speaker Anita Mong orders removal of Pioneer buses from Nambole land, which is only another story that we are seeing on the paper this morning. And Speaker of Parliament, Ms. Anita Mong, directed the State Minister for Sports, that is Mr. Peter Ogwang, to collaborate with the Mandala National Development Management to remove Pioneer buses currently occupying the stadium land. And during a Monday inspection, that's at the stadium's renovation works in the Biogerere, Sira Municipality, Wakiso District, Ms. Anita Mong emphasized that the bus company must also be moved away from that area, and directly follows Mr. Ogwang's explanation that UPDF Engineering Brigade, the project's contractor, faced difficulties securing parking for the stadium due to the Pioneers also already buses premises also already being parked at the premises. And the recent Confederation, that's African Football Report, had also already cited a lack of parking also already as a shortcoming also already for the forthcoming games, which Uganda is also already, that is a bidding also to see to that they also already host, that is the AFCOM under the Pamoja bid. And according to Mr. Gwang, the ULC leased the land, that's the Pioneer bus management, under unclear circumstances. But really, these are questions that also really we must also really be asking ourselves, because each and every day we are talking about land being leased with the consent of the rightful owners, also really maybe the rightful also caretakers. But how do these people get the land titles? These are the questions also really maybe we are asking ourselves. And Mr. Among demanded Nambole's immediate land recovery and cautioned the land board against the future unauthorization also of land transaction. Also that is also something we are seeing on the paper this morning. And the inspection follows a recent parliament debate sparked by the opposition chief whip that's on concerns raised on Thursday, and the CAF's report shows also really doubts that about Uganda's ability to host CHAN Championship and World Cup qualifiers due to the stadium's incompleteness. And Mr. Among subsequently directed Mr. Gwang to present a detailed report on the renovation progress and accountability. That's for the shillings 97 billion accountability funds approved, that's by the parliament, and fulfilled the request on Friday. And recently also we did see some shocking revelation about this 97 billion we're talking about, which part of which was said to be also really used for compensating the witch doctor, or common known as the Musamba, who was also really in that area there. But really said that this witch doctor could relocate. But really, why didn't we use force to relocate this person that we are also really saying also is a witch doctor in that area there? And Mr. Among subsequently directed Mr. Gwang to present that detailed report, and Colonel Godfrey to also the commandant of engineering brigade addressed the ongoing renovation works. The tour acknowledged that the steady progress, but highlighted the funding gaps as a limiting factor to also really that development in there. And really want to also put that discussion about Nambole aside, and now, as usual, to summarize the discussions with what is happening in the world of sports. Yesterday we did see games going on, and maybe somebody may be also interested in what some of the Premier League games that could have transpired yesterday. And I must remind you, there was one game on card that was between Chelsea and Everton, where Everton also was walloped by 6-0. That is to Chelsea, who was actually the one who won this game. And now are we seeing Chelsea also really maybe reviving their glory in the past, because really to beat Everton 6-0, that should also really sound as a warning to the teams that have not yet played Chelsea. And really that is also maybe how the game did go on yesterday. And yesterday we also did see games going on, and today we also really be seeing games also really being played in there. And maybe so in Champions League, somebody maybe also really be able to maybe ask themselves which games will be going on tonight. I want to remind you that Barcelona will be playing, that's Paris Saint-Germain, and as Borussia Dortmund will be playing, that's Atletico Madrid, and these games will be going on. And Arsenal tomorrow will be taking on, that's Bayern Munich, and Man City will be playing it against Real Madrid. And for those who are interested in more sports updates, later on, Linda Suze together with Owen Ezaga will be in the house, that is from 2 to 3 p.m. to also let you know of the comprehensive and detailed analysis of what could be transpiring in the world of sports. And that is what we can give you for now, as you should be waiting for them to come in later on in the due course of the day. But for now, as we come to a closer of today's discussions, as we also have to let you know of what is coming next, and that is also really very, very much important for you, also maybe to also let you know of maybe how we can be able to also let you know of. And that brings us to the end of the discussions, and we shall be bouncing back tomorrow for the Wednesday edition of the Kokoliriko live show. My name is FARISH Majid. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs that may follow.